Okay, so once you've gotten to this point now, you can put the paper on the back of the folio, the design paper, and I cut mine at 8 1/4 by 10 1/4. But you can see it's a little bit short on the sides, and I forget that sometimes when you're making an album and a folio, when you have this bend here, this 1/4 inch bend, it tends to widen the look of or it tends to widen the width of the actual. Even though this is an 8 1/2 by chipboard, it just widens the look of it. So I usually go another 1/8 of an inch, and I just completely forgot. So I like to have an even space between the top and bottom and the sides, and I don't because I forgot about that and I cut that wrong. So I would cut, once you have your folio put together, I would cut 8 3/8 by 10 1/4, and then just dry mount it and just see if it fits before you tape or glue it on. So anyway, I used for this this piece of paper is all the Authentique papers are just numbers, and so this is, and it's the Twilight paper I'm using, Authentique Twilight. So this is paper number 1. And so yeah, I'm gonna write in my notes here to do 3/8 instead of 1/4 here. And that would be just for the back only, like I said, because it wraps around there and we need it a little bit more width. Unless you don't mind it, but it's kind of bugging me, and I guess I don't have it glued down very good right here. I'll have to go back and fix that. So, okay, so, and then I also am using the same paper on the spine, and I'm looking here, somehow I forgot to pull that out. It's in my box. But I'm using the same paper and what I did was I cut 10 1/4 by 3/4. So that's 3/4. And I didn't just cut from the edge, I cut from, I don't know, I hope you can see this. I cut a little bit of that, see these diamond shapes, I cut a little bit into that corner and cut those corners off, and so there's a little corner, each side has a little bit of a corner cut off. So basically I was centering this strip of diamonds at 3/4 inch. So if you take your ruler, and I'll try to hold it up here. If you take a ruler, I don't know if you can see that, and at 3/4 inch, so you're cutting off the sides of those, or the corners of those diamonds on the sides, just so that it's centered at 3/4. So I did have to use a little bit more paper than just 1 1/2 inches to do both spines, because I needed to be able to cut and get that, that center strip there. So that's what I cut. I have the pieces cut. They're actually under my computer right now, so I can't get them out. Oh, I had to stack things in order to do this video today. Okay, so anyway, that's what I'm covering on the spines, and then we'll talk about the cover in a bit. So now I want to go to the center of the folio. And let's see here. Okay, this is the, you know, actually I have my lines drawn this way, so this is going to be my bottom. I mean, obviously it doesn't matter at this point to you what's top and bottom. I just have some lines drawn on here for the cover, so you don't need to worry about that right now. Okay, so in the center here, I'm going to have this fold out or flip out, whatever you want to call it, and it's going to go on here like this. And so okay, here we go. Excuse me. So you're going to cut a piece of cardstock at 8.5, or just actually just slightly less than 8.5. I mean, not even a 1/16 of an inch. I just took a sliver off the side so that it doesn't interfere. My chipboard's 8.5 to 8.5, so it doesn't interfere. I just want it to make sure it doesn't get in that gusset right there, or that fold. And then I also cut it just ever so slightly less than 10.5 because I want to be able to, I want it just a little bit shorter than being on the very edge here of the bottom of the folio. And these, you know, I debated on whether to use a corner rounder, and I kind of wish I had, but I didn't. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, so you want to cut slightly less than 8.5 and then slightly less than 10.5, and then you're going to score at actually you're going to score this way at 1/2 inch. So you're scoring 1/2 inch here and then folding that down. And then my design paper is 8.25 by 10.25. And you also might want to cut this one slightly down, just so that it's a little more even on the edges here. And then on this paper I used paper number 4. This is paper number 4. And so I just glued that down and then put my tape. This is my 3H tape here. And then I put magnets on the back here. And so this is what's going to hold this down. And I am going to want it to be held down just, even though it might probably stay down anyway because it's so long. I just want that security of the magnets. It's going to have a heavy piece on the top here, so I want to make sure that it just doesn't move around. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right now. Get this on here. If I can see, the lighting is not very good in here. And it's hard to do black on black sometimes. Okay. I pulled that out and I pulled it the wrong way. There we go. Ugh. Wasn't thinking backwards. I think that ripped. It's weird. The backing of the tape ripped. So I didn't, when I pulled it, I didn't get the end. See what I mean about I am a clumsy crafter? Things like that happen to me constantly. Okay, so I'm gonna burnish that. All right, so now we have this, and it's just short enough. It's just a little bit shorter so that, you know, I can remember that I have this little flap here, and then I have my magnets here. So what I need to do is I need to attach magnets here so that it stays down. Okay, my magnets are stuck together. Holy smokes. Like I said, I never have this trouble except when I'm making a video. Okay, I don't know why those two are stuck together. Okay, so I'm just going to place the second magnet there. Actually, I'm going to show you a little trick that I do. It just helps me so that I don't make a big mess or ruin anything. I take this tape backing that I pull off and of a project, and then I put I snap my other magnet there. And I do this so that when I'm gluing the other magnets down, they don't, and I still have two magnets. I don't know why. I think those ones must have adhesive on them or something. Okay. Make sure I only got one. Yeah. Okay, so let me show you getting frame here. So what I did is I have my magnet here, and I just put this tape backing there and put the other magnet on so that when I glue, it doesn't get glue, you know, all over, and I can easily lift the magnets up. Sometimes when I'm working, I'm impatient and they're not, you know, sometimes they just need to sit a day before they're really secure. And, you know, when you're making something, you don't have time to do that. So that's why I do that, because it's easier just for me to pull that off until I get a chance for it to really dry. And I think I'm just going to use, I don't like using tape to put magnets on. I just don't feel good about it. So I'm going to use a little bit of glossy accent. And I'm sorry, I'm still not getting in frame here. It'll be nice to have a large space to do this kind of stuff eventually. Okay. Okay. So that's going to dry. And then, so we'll move on to the next step. Time here. definitely gonna have to do more than one video. Okay. I do need to get some sleep tonight. Okay. Let me get everything out here. So the next pieces that we're going to make are these right here. Yeah, I thought I had all these in order, but apparently I don't. My word. Okay, hang on just a second. Okay, oh my goodness. Sorry about that. I'm using my chair because I don't have table space. Okay, so we need, for these pieces here, to cut 2 at 4 7/8 wide by 6 1/4 long. And so then you're going to score at 1/2 inch and 5/8 of an inch. So that's 1/2 and 5/8. Or if it's just, you know, I usually just score it like this because it's easier for me. But if you're feeling comfortable with the measurements, you know, always do 1/2 and 5/8 if you're making an 1/8 inch gusset on the end of your fold outs. But I did 4 1/4 and 4 3/8. So either way, you can score it either way. It's just easier to score it right-handed for me doing it the other way. Okay, so just gonna fold these down. So you're just gonna fold it like that, and then you're gonna fold the other. And I've debated. I do both, and I'm not really sure which one's the easiest way to fold first. You're making these little tiny 1/8 inch gussets, but okay. So now I have my. I don't know. I hope it's easier to see than the black, but I have my little 1/8 inch gusset there, and that's just because we're gonna have a lot of bulk underneath that, and we need a little bit of room. And then this is when you do 2 of these, it doesn't matter which one's the right and the left until you put the paper on the front. So you need to keep that in mind when you're designing or you're putting the paper on the front. If you feel like you're going to get confused, then go ahead and attach this blank fold out to your folio first if you feel like you're going to have trouble getting the orientation right, because it doesn't matter when it's blank which side, because you're cutting 2 of these, it doesn't matter which side or which one goes which way, left or right, until you get the design paper on. So if you feel like you're going to have trouble with that, go ahead and just glue or tape these on right now. And you're just going to do it in the center. So what I did is I made 2 little marks here. I took my Tim Holtz ruler and marked the center and then how wide this was. I made little pencil marks. Don't do it on the edge because you can have a 1/4 inch showing on your edges here. And I say that and it looks like I marked the edge too close. But anyway, so you're going to mark that and then and just center it and glue or tape it on like that. And you know, I forgot, I was saying before that I kind of wish I had rounded my edges. I debated on whether to round them or not. I kind of wish I had, because sometimes the corners, when you do a lot of fold outs and stuff like that, the corners get a little beat up with those little pointy corners. So if you do want to round, of course, you're going to want to do that before you put the design paper on. You're going to round your corners here, round the corners here. So this would be one place that I would round the corners if I had to do it again. Because I didn't round any corners, I didn't round those corners. Because these are coming into this fold here, I think this would have been a good place to round the corners here and here, just on this side that goes into the fold. I think these corners are going to get beat up a little bit. So I wished I had rounded them, and I could have even used a small rounder and just had a really subtle curve there instead of a medium size or a large size. I probably wouldn't go large. I think I would go, you know, because you've got a big pattern here, so I would go small, maybe medium. And that just keeps those corners from getting beat up. And then you would just do the design paper the same size of corner round here. Okay. But anyway, so now if you're okay with designing and putting your design paper on, because it's easier to do it off the folio than when it's on the folio. So that's how I did mine. And so just make sure that you put your this is your left side, and I've already put my tape on, and I've got my 1/8 inch gusset here. And so that's my left side. This is my right side. Okay. And let me get my little notes here that tells me what paper we are using. Okay. So, okay, this piece here is, you want to cut at 4 inches by 4 inches. And then you're just centering it towards the top so that you have an 1/8 inch of the black all the way around. So your 4 by 4 square goes right here. And that is Twilight number 3. It almost looks like I call it a brick pattern. It's not really brick, but it has these little segments there, and so I call it a brick. I don't know what it's called, but that's what I'm calling it. And then this part here is paper number 6, and I just put that all along, leaving about an 1/8 inch in between the papers here. And then the circle here is a 3 3/4 inch circle. And the paper, design paper here is paper number 7, the bats here. And I'll hold it up so you can see, without looking at the number, you can see which papers to use. Okay. And so just make sure that you're getting, when your fold out hinges out like this, that the square piece is on the top with the circles. And then so now you can put these onto your folio if you haven't done it already. If you've done it already, then you can decorate once you have them on. So I marked too close to the edge for some reason. I'm going to erase that. Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay, yeah, I am having a really hard time seeing, so. Okay, I'm not gonna do both sides just for time. And so you can see this goes right up to the edge of that fold. So before you put your papers on, and if you want to round them, go ahead and do that. I don't know. I made the decision not to, and then I immediately regretted it. So, but I mean, it's still going to look good either way. I'm just worried about these corners. Okay, so now that we have this on, and I think I showed you on this one here that I put an X right here. That is where the magnet's going to go that's going to hold this in place. I'm not putting mine on now because I already have the companion magnet on the piece that goes down here. I'm not putting the magnet on the chipboard. I've got things that I want to put on here first. We need to get this on first so that we can cover up this hinge right here. And so what is going there is see, I already bent it. That's why you do need a magnet, because if you don't, when you go to fold this, you're going to catch these edges here and they're going to get ruined. Okay, so the piece that's going underneath there is, and let me show you, let me set this aside, and I will show you both of them. They're both the same. So we're making a pocket that is going to fit right underneath here. And so, so don't, yeah, I'm just not putting the magnet on yet, because the other magnet is going right here, and I want to match the magnet on here to this magnet that I have here. So you need two pieces that are 5 inches wide by 6 3/4 inches tall, and you're going to cut 2 of those, one for each side, and then you're going to score. You're going to score at 1/2 of an inch on these 3 sides. It's a top pocket, so the opening's on the top here. And then you're going to turn it over and score 1/2 inch. So these 3 sides, and you can see I have the tape there where I scored on the edges here. And then you're just going to fold these over. Okay, so you've probably seen this done before, but just in case you haven't, for those of you who haven't, so you're just going to score 3 sides to make your pocket. And then so that these, if you've never done this before, when you're folding this down, you're going to get a lot of bulk there in that corner. And so to prevent that, kind of like how we did the cover for our folio, we're going to, oh, I got tape stuck to my scissors. Oh my word, see what I mean? Sorry about that. Okay. So I'm cutting right to that, if you can see where I folded, I'm just cutting right along that corner. The only difference is, like on the cover we left that 1/8 of an inch. This one you want to come pretty close so that you have a clean fold. And then I need to come, I feel like I need to angle it just a little bit more. So that those edges aren't hitting each other. There. And then I hate when my corners on my pockets are bulky, so I'm kind of particular about that. But anyway, so you're going to cut both edges. See that one I cut perfect. This one I didn't get quite so good. And then I angle. I don't want, nothing folds 100% perfectly straight ever. And so just so I don't have another edge showing on my pocket, I angle the tops just slightly up to that. I don't go all the way to the score line because I don't want to, it makes it look weird, so I just kind of go about 1/16 of an inch from that score line, and then I angle it. So now you have a pocket, and then your magnet is going to go, I believe, about 1.5 inches from the bottom once it's folded. So just eyeball the center, and then, because the exact center doesn't matter so much, you just eyeball the center, and then you're going to go about 1.25 to 1.5 inches. So you're going to put your magnet right there, about 1.25, 1.5, in between there. Okay, so this isn't the one I'm using. So I've already got my magnet on my pockets. So you can see here I've got my edges and then I put my tape on, and then once I got my tape on, then I cut my angles, and you know what, my corners are getting beat up just a little bit because they've been in a box. So I'm going to go ahead and trim that a little bit. And I know I'm doing it off camera, but okay. So once I've got my magnet 1.5 inches from this folded edge, the bottom, not the top edge, the folded edge is the bottom. So you want to go about 1.5 inches up. So once I get my magnet in, then I can put the mat in place here to cover that up, and it's okay. And it's paper number 5, and it's 3 3/4 by 6 inches. So 3 3/4 inches wide by 6 inches. And that's paper number 3, the stripe. And so go ahead and put that paper on, and then before we can actually glue the pocket down, we need to cover this raw gatefold. And so the papers that we're using for that are these papers here. Oops, and you want to make, I always put that upside down. Okay, you want to make sure your spiders usually dangle down, not up. They don't defy gravity, so make sure your spiders are dangling down. And yeah, so this one's gonna go on this side, and this one's gonna go on this side. And so these are cut at 4 inches by 10 1/4. And this paper is paper number 4. And so I'm going to go ahead and just for the sake of time, I'm going to just hurry and use my tape gun. Okay, so I'm going to do it from the side here so I can see better. I think that's fairly straight. I am favoring this side a little bit, but I think that's okay since I've got this fold here, and it'll take up some room. And got some tape or glue right there. All right. Okay, so now my pocket is gonna go, and I'm lining up the edge of this. Oh gosh, I'm out of frame here. I'm lining up the edge of this with the edge of this fold out here. So make sure your top's on the top. Did I do this right? Yeah, I've got it right. Just making sure everything's right. Okay, so making sure this is the top, this is the top. And so I'm going to go ahead and take my tape covers off. And then the edge of this pocket's going on the edge of this design paper. Oh, and it's just a little bit, hang on. It's probably not the best thing to do. I'm going to come in just a little because my pocket's not quite 4 inches, I guess. The design paper showing a little bit on the edge there. Okay. All right, so now that that is on. Oh, and see, my magnets are not dry yet. They usually dry faster than that. I don't know what the deal is. Okay, that one stayed. This one didn't stay. I'm gonna have to redo this one. Okay. So I have my magnet right here, so I'm gonna get the other side. And I'm going to use some glossy accents again. Okay. Now when that's dry, when my magnet's dry and I've got my magnet in place and it's dry right there, then I'm going to put a 4x6 of this polka dot. I think it's I don't remember which paper it is. It's hang on. Oh my word. It's paper number 3. And so I will cut 2 4x6 and then they will fit right on the inside there. But that's after I get the magnet on. And then once your magnet's dry, then you can flip that open and put your polka dot paper on. And so we are almost done with this video. Okay, the last thing that we're going to do is, for this time, is we're going to make these inserts to go into the pockets. And so here's the other pocket that I have not put on the folio yet. And so these are going to slide into the pockets like this. And so I do have oh my goodness. Okay, where's the other one? Oh goodness. Okay, yeah, I've got everything piled up on a chair next to me because I have this little table. This little teeny tiny table. And so anyway, I'm not seeing the other insert, but all right, it's got to be right here. Oh, it was hiding behind my scoreboard. Okay, which is also on the chair. Okay, I wanted to show you both because there is an orientation to these. I have the polka dots on the outside, so this is your right and this is your left. And I'll give you a better look. So this is into the pocket and this one's not in the pocket. Okay, so I did a 1/2 inch wide by 4 inches tall on the polka dot, and then I've got my 3x4 card here cut apart from the number 8 paper, and then I have, well, first of all, let me show you how to make this. So this is a 10.5 by 3 7/8 inch wide piece of paper, and then I'm going to score it at 4 1/4. So you have it here, and then you're just going to score at 4 1/4 right here, and then fold it over, and there you have your, that's all there is to the insert. I did make it a little less than the pocket so it'll slide in easily. I probably could have done a 4-inch wide because I do have the sides, but I would do just, if you want to make it a little wider, just do slightly less, in between 3 7/8 and 4 inches. I don't know if you want to go quite 4 inches because it might be hard to pull in and out. And in my mind, I'm thinking a picture here, a 3 by 4 picture right here. So I left this part blank. And so I have options. I mean, because this is shorter, so this design paper is 3 3/4 wide by 6 inches tall. And this is the number 7 paper, the other side. And then this is the number 5 paper, this plaid here. And so you could trim down, make skinny 4 by 6s to fit on here if you have a lot of pictures. I usually don't have that many pictures, and I'm going to have a waterfall here, so I have lots of room for pictures. But these are all going to have a horizontal orientation, and so I wanted some places to put some vertical. So I can put a picture here. Once I've got the design paper on, I can put a picture there. So this will fit just a slightly trimmed down 4 by 6. And or I can put a 4 by 4 and put some journaling right here. This one will hold a 3 by 4, and then I can do a really skinny trimmed down 4 by 6 here and here. Or if I don't have that many pictures, I can do a 4 by 4 here and do some journaling here. You know, just journal on a piece of paper and glue it a strip down here. Or I can just leave it, if I don't have any pictures at all, I can just leave it as is, just as, and I can even, you know, maybe embellish with the sticker or something here on the bottom. And once I get pictures on, I can add a few more stickers here and there too, depending on the pictures. So a few options there. And so yeah, so I did a 1/2 inch by 4 here. And then you want to make sure you're doing your orientation right. So you're going to do a left side and a right side, and then put your pictures in the middle. And you can use whatever journaling cards you want. I just chose these two, but they were all absolutely darling. And then I did a 1/2 inch by 4 inches here of the number 5, same as this. And I did the exact same thing, just the opposite side on this one. So that's your inserts, and they're going to go in your pocket, and then it's going to sit in here once I do this side like that. And that's the sides. So that is all that I'm gonna do for this video. Do the waterfall on the next video. And I haven't decided yet if I'm going to cover this here. I almost like keeping it blank. And so anyway, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And if you like this tutorial, please give me a thumbs up. And thanks for watching. Bye.